Welcome everyone to our first official episode. Today we are joined by Batsheva. Thank
Hey.
you so much for being here. So we met at a mutual friend's house. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was a Rosh Kodesh event.
Kodesh,
Yeah,
meditation, Kabbalah.
like learning kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I told you about this project, and
Yeah.
then you invited me to your breath work, which
Mm,
was phenomenal.
mm,
Um, yeah, it's hard to put into words
yeah.
because it's more of like it's an experience.
Systematic
Yeah,
experience. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll dive right in.
Yeah.
So we just started Bereshit.
Mm,
So it begins with breath.
mm.
Hashem breathing life into creation. So when you speak of coming home to the breath that remembers who you are, what does that mean for you?
That the place of breath, neshima is breath, and neshama is soul.
Mm-hmm.
And there are like 5 levels of soul, and there's many levels of breath.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we understand that breath kind of came from such a high place that God blew into Adam the breath of life. And, breath is like we kind of put it on the background sometimes. We don't even realize that we're breathing. I think that when you're doing, for instance, the breath work, when we're doing the rebirthing breath work, for instance, for like maybe about 10 minutes, we're consciously breathing this specific rhythmic breath. And then after a certain period of time, the breath starts breathing you, and
Mhm.
it activates something in you that is like deep and high and lofty, and it's just hard to describe. It's what do they call it? A trance psychedelic experience,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
a trance state.
It,
Um,
so it takes us back to the before at the beginning we had the Ruach Elohim,
yeah,
and that's what we're touching on.
yeah. Well, it's an ego. You let go of your ego.
Yep.
I don't want to call it an ego death, but on a fraction of a level, you're letting go of all ego.
Yeah.
Every time your ego comes up to remind you, hey, I'm here, buddy. Like, don't do that intense thing. Follow me and let's just flow. And then you have to like really, lay your guards down and say, no, I'm following through with this rhythm. I'm following through with this breath. And then at some point, your prefrontal cortex shuts down and your nervous system is just like flooding with like,
Open.
yeah, with
Yeah.
like oxytocin, or with all the hormones that are just gonna bring activation and heal you from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this really cool thing that we all have. If you're alive on this earth, or you're a creature, your creation, you have this, and you don't need anything external to you to activate this. Then maybe you need some guidance or some container. But a lot of people can just do this at home. They can get log in and get something online and get into this, get access to this. There's many ways to access this deep work.
So breath is something that we're constantly breathing,
Yeah.
but arguably we're taking different it's a different type of breath, right?
Yeah.
So like what's been your experience with how is there the disconnect when people are breathing like in their everyday life through everyday situations? You're driving to work or you're dealing with your kids who are doing something that you don't want them to do versus taking like a moment to be aware of the process that you're creating within yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Love that. I mean, it opened up so many things for me to think about, and my response to that is kind of work my way backwards. Like when I'm driving in the car and it's traffic and I'm trying to get my kids to school, and one of my kids in the back is my youngest. He's 4. He gets nauseous very easily, and the roads by us are like this. Like,
Oh, uh-huh.
it's Highway 1. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
But he gets a little car sick. So whenever he says, my tummy hurts, I roll down his window. Instantly have this routine. I roll down his window and I say, take a deep breath, and I hear him in the back. With his full consciousness, he goes, And then I don't hear from him the rest of the ride. He, a 4-year-old, is able to tap into his deep calming properties. And he got anxious before because he felt his tummy started to hurt him. We have a rhythm. I pull down his window. He takes in that deep breath, and that's enough to set him for the ride.
I find it so interesting that you said it's the anxiousness that
Yes.
triggers it. So I feel
Or
like
maybe the nausea came first, and then he got anxious about throwing up or being nauseous. You kind of like, it's hard to know what kind of, but
which
either
order.
way, the anxiety was there.
Right.
And anxiety is a big part of a lot of people's days.
Yep. And lack of breathing.
Right. And anxiety is really like, let's just say you're facing a lion. You know, in our humanness,
nature.
in
Yeah,
our
yeah.
physical nature, when we're facing a lion or when we're facing a task that's overwhelming, our body doesn't know the difference. A lion or an email we have to send out or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And it gets into this like hyperventilated state, and it becomes anxious, and your rib cage starts to close in on itself, and your breath starts to become rapid, and then your thoughts start to cycle. And at that point, you don't really have control, but
Yeah.
you do. When you learn the method of coming back into your foundational breathing,
Yeah.
you can always tap out of that. And the most incredible part is that the more you practice foundational breathing, coming back into your body, coming back into your root, into yourself, the less anxious you're tending to get.
Yeah.
'Cause
Or riled up over anything.
Right, because there's a process that's starting to your nervous system is starting to realign, and you're starting to create new neural pathways, and your patterning is starting to shift. So you're less inclined to get into those situations where there's a heightened risk for anxiety or, you know, facing the lion, so to speak. And the reason our body does that, I mean, a lot of people know this in psychology, like it's getting your rib cage is tightening, your blood is boiling, you're getting your adrenaline fix because you might need to run away from this lion.
Fight or flight. Yeah.
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
Like this is your body's health. This is your body at health.
Mhm.
So you gotta kind of be like accepting of that. Like this is
Right.
what my body will
Yeah.
do when I'm
Yeah.
in a situation that's overwhelming, but I have tools, and this is not a lion.
It's funny because like even I mean it could be like the silliest things
Yeah.
that we're just and I
Triggers.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I notice, you know, when we're in the middle of situations we're breathing from our chest.
Yeah.
So we're not really like we're expanding our rib cage in our lungs, but then the decompression
Yeah.
is not happening fully. And then we're like, you know, and then
Get
it's just
stuck
like
in that. Yeah.
yeah, it gets
We're not
stuck.
doing the deep diaphragmatic breathing, which is really
Yeah.
what helps cycle everything through.
Yeah.
And there was something I read interesting about yesterday. I actually saw a beautiful visual of it, like a CAT scan on the brain. Maybe it was an MRI. And it showed that the more oxygenated breath that you are using in your breath, like breathing in deeper
Yeah.
and more oxygen, it shows that the cerebral spinal fluid that surrounds the brain and the spine
Yeah.
becomes more expansive, and your brain has more space to like pump. Like there's real science to it, but when you
Right.
see that visual, it's like, that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
That's a brainer. So like to really focus in and visualize that when we breathe in deeply, we are filling our blood cells with more oxygenated blood, with more fluid, with more circulation.
Yeah.
We have these visualizations. It's kind of like the first stage of really getting connected to it. Because at a certain point, it becomes the breath pattern of your life.
Right.
Like it just, you're getting more, it's like yoga, it's like any exercise, the more you practice the muscle of breathing and doing it various ways in different situations, the more naturally and organically your body, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Your body will adapt to that, and it will get better and better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So prior to your breath work,
Yes.
you were a doula for quite some time.
Yes.
So, you know, we can go through that. And I'm curious to know, how did your work as a doula shape your understanding of beginnings and how you see now rebirth through breath?
I love that question. Actually, I was just thinking about that when we mentioned the oxygenated blood flow. So like, this is something that I would speak to women about throughout all my years of being a doula when I'm preparing them for birth, and breath was always a part of it.
Yeah.
And it's like when there's a contraction, when there's a tightness that your body is going through this pattern of tightening, what's the remedy for that? How do we cope in that situation? And the only answer is breath.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we breathe, the more we're expanding our lungs, the more we're opening up ourselves to releasing. And it's kind of like, it's almost like a paradox. Like, how do you release in the tight?
Mm-hmm.
It's like your
Yeah,
body's so tight, but
yeah.
the remedy is space, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do we make space when we breathe?
The release.
So I was teaching breath work, back in the day when I was doing my doula work for many years, for over 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was a doula I started off when I was 19, fresh out of seminary.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, kind of like, what am I going to do with my life? And like, I was a bit anxious about it. And then when somehow the doula idea came into my awareness, and then it just kind of became a calling.
Mm-hmm.
I was when I get passionate about something, everyone in my life knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything I speak about.
The rabbit hole.
Exactly, in a good way. So I had my first birth actually at age 19. I was in South Africa visiting my sister, and her friend was pregnant, and she's invited me to be witness to her birth, and it was the most sacred.
Just because?
She knew I was studying to be a doula.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't certified yet, but she welcomed me into the space, and I was so honored.
Yeah.
And it really felt like when the baby came, it felt like I felt the energy of Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, oh my God, like it's almost like labor. In the labor, you kind of forget that there's this other thing that's going to happen. There's just, you get stuck in the labor.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh wait, there's a baby.
By the way.
So like it's kind of like, when I bring the analogy of Mashiach, like when there's all this like craziness going on in the world, we're in the labor of it. We're in the birth pains that we'll always hear about, from the mystics. We're in the birth pains of Mashiach. Really what that means, like, do you want to birth in pain or do you want to birth with breath? Because this labor could be, this labor pain of the pre-Mashiach time could be ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
It could be in alignment. We don't have to be so confused. It doesn't have to be so one way or the other. It could be whatever you decided, how you want to live in it.
Yeah.
So that's how I used to teach women about labor. Like you can kind of make a decision of what kind of energy you'd like your labor to be. And let's make a plan and let's have all the things in alignment to work to get to you that result.
Yeah.
And we also going to be open, because if we just focus in on that result, we might get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be open that anything that's meant to happen will be, but our choice and our decision to move in this direction is going to be preconditioned. We're going to set ourselves up for success.
Yeah. So many people get lost in the pain of it all.
Yeah.
And, we so forget that, what kind of really blew my mind is, in the Siddur, when we're going through the prayers, it starts with evening and then it goes to morning and noon. And so it's something that we say every week, every day. We have this rote surface understanding of it, but it's like it doesn't really click. And I feel like it's such a disconnect, because
Understanding of what exactly?
Understanding that the evening, like darkness,
comes before light.
Exactly.
Wow,
Yeah. So
yes.
It always confuses me how we forget this, because so many people forget that part of it. And without that, you cannot have the after,
Yeah.
So.
Well, in essence, I would say we're all light.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In essence, they're all godliness. God had to make space, make almost like a vacuum, a sort of shadow, a sort of darkness.
Yeah.
In order to have a separate creation.
Mm-hmm.
That's voracious.
Yeah.
So it does sound like, almost like pre-creation, maybe there was a level of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about pre, then before then there was just light.
Right.
It's the essence of life was all light.
Yeah.
There was no shadow even.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was compiled to encompass one.
It was all one.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe light there was not the same light that we know today. Everything is you know, what is the word? Anyways.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, it'll come to me, it'll come to me. Um, so where I was getting at with that is like I actually also saw this beautiful image recently that I reposted on my Instagram stories of an image of an angel with wings facing his shadow head on, and the shadow looked almost like not devilish, but like it was black, like fully like there was a white angel, like fully white with light,
Yeah.
and then a dark, almost like a feature of like it had this like strong tone to it. And
Ominous
then
kind of.
yeah, and it said it had this whole like transitional phase where the angel kind of like became one with it and gave it wings.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was the shadow with wings.
Yeah.
And it's like your shadow really is your guide.
Yeah.
And when we become one with our inner, I don't like to call them demons, but people call them inner demons, but I like to call them, you know, your inner child,
Yeah.
your parts of you that were left, your trauma, you know, the parts of you that were left unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
And when we make peace with that, and we really love ourselves fully, despite all the hardships that life had, you know, that we blame life for, but really we take ownership and responsibility for, then we're activating the wings for that like almost like that darkness, and it's something even higher and greater than light itself.
Yeah.
It's a composite of like creation, it's light, and it's like the oneness, unity. It's
Yeah, because you can't there is no such thing as light if you don't have dark,
exactly
you know?
same thing. There's no such thing as dark without the light.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a dichotomy.
Well, I love to relate to the moon in that respect, because the moon is like, she doesn't have her own light, but she has craters that receive the light. And feminine, female, woman, we are receivers. We are makabel. There's mashpia, which is like the sun, which is like you could call the source of light. It's a ball of fire, right? And it sends energy out to the moon. The moon is receiving that all day, and then when the sun goes down, the moon is glowing. But it's not glowing every night. Every night it's transient.
Yeah.
But it's predictable. We know we can have a whole cycle. We know what the next day is going to kind of look like with it. I mean, it's not as predictable as if you're an astrologer, you can predict it. But for the general public, like when we look up at the sky, we kind of get a reckoning of, oh, what time of the month are we in, you know? Even if you're not looking at your lunar calendar and you're not in your own cycle, but like it's a reminder that there's this like shift and there's this change, but it's constant and consistent. There's two things together.
Yeah.
So it's a deeper light. It's a glow. It's not the same kind of light you get from the sun.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
It's
this
like
glowing.
a wildfire versus like a candle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would your of right now?
That brought like tears to me. My inner child would be proud of me embodying everything that Hashem has put before me and allowing, not kind of questioning it.
Okay.
I think as a child I was very like questioning everything, like what is this for? Who is this? I was kind of like just trying to find my way in the world by you know, having that kind of energy with it. And I think my inner child would be proud of me being really much in the trust process, like trusting the process.
What was the
Supposed
most
to,
challenging part of the process?
Of getting to this point? Letting go, feeling Hashem in every moment and realizing that he's guiding me. And I am just conditioned by every step I take. I enter more of the realm of what I feel like God wants from me. It's my prayer, actually. It's like a walking prayer.
Yeah.
I'm not good at the book thing, but I live my life in a prayer motion.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? It doesn't matter if you can read. Anybody can read as many words as they feel like reading, but if you're not gonna, you know, do it, walk the walk, then
I walk the walk. I don't always talk the talk.
you talk your talk. That's all the talk you need to do.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I grew up in a large family. So it's no you know, I was like, you know, born into this tribe. I was number 10. And I'm like, you know, I had to like figure it out, you know, where am I in this world? Who am I in this world? I wasn't born as a singular, or like I was in an organism already.
Yeah.
So it's like for me to create my identity as I'm like growing, it was wasn't easy all the time. Some things would have been maybe easier than if you're like a single kid or like a family that's like a regular size, but in other ways, I feel like looking back at my inner child, like she was trying to figure it out, figure it all out, and that's a lot that she had on her shoulders.
I think it's funny that you mentioned that because I am an only child. I
Really?
am. And
Wow.
so I had the same, like, well, you gotta figure it out kind of situation going on.
Interesting. On the
Yeah.
opposite spectrum.
Yeah. But still having that same, like, you crawl and then you
Yeah.
kind of walk and then,
Yeah, like you could think maybe I had my older brothers and sisters that were teaching me everything I knew, but in ways that I wanted and didn't want. I was
right,
learning
right.
everything that I know today. So, um, I think when you mention I'm also an only child and I had that same experience, what came to me was that it's a certain brand of soul.
Yeah.
When you're born into
What do you
this
mean?
world, it's like, hey, what am I doing here? Hey, what's this body all about? Hey, what's this world all about? I think it's a type of person that has a mission in this world that's a little bit like on a scale that's a little bit more than just the average situation. Not to like toot my own horn or anything, but like
Special.
we're all special. Everyone's special in their own ways. I'm just trying to share that like maybe it's more that than like what our families were like that gave us that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because just looking at the evidence, I had 13 siblings, you had zero, and we both trying to figure it out, you know? I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people are just trying to figure it out. Um,
But there's beauty in that because, you know, there is something to having a structure where you kind of are guided to getting to it.
yeah.
Um, but the end goal is kind of predetermined. And then as you're along the process, I feel like it's easier to just be like, well, I've already been doing this for so long, so let me
Yeah.
just do it, whether it feels aligned or in sync
Mhm.
or whatever.
You mean by figuring it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
there's a letting go. I think when I was I was feeling like that heaviness, like
mm,
I gotta have this figured out. And it comes and goes. Like at 19, I had that strong, what am I gonna do with my life, you know?
yeah.
Um, but like there's certain periods where it felt like it was uneven, like a child shouldn't feel that responsibility,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but a lot of children do when they don't have the kind of structure that is like telling them what to do or how they're gonna expect to be, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so not to cast any blame, but like as I got older and I have way more responsibilities now, not just for myself. I've got three beautiful children, a husband, 300 goats, and a lot of a lot of management on my, travel and work and everything. And I feel the most free because I like let off my shoulders. I don't need to figure it all out. Why do I need to figure it all? Why would I need to figure it all out? It's all figured out already.
How did you come to that understanding? Because I feel like
Yeah.
that is the most difficult part because I mean, in most societies in our culture we're told like no, you need to figure, even when you're a kid it's like
Yeah.
no, you need to
Let
be in
them learn.
soccer, you need to
Yeah.
be in basketball, you need to have a hobby, you need to do this, you need to do that, and
Yeah.
it's like all of those things are great,
Yeah.
but how do you filter out, because a lot of parents are also like, well, I put all this money into your
Yeah.
guitar lessons and you're not going to
Yeah.
play anymore,
Yeah.
so then you kind of feel stuck, like pigeonholed.
Yeah, so the gift that my parents gave me was like no agenda.
Okay, that's great.
And maybe there was some subtle agendas of their own, but I think but I didn't feel it as much.
Yeah.
I think because also being one of 14, you can't
Yeah.
control and manage every single kid.
Yeah.
So the gift that I got was like, it was very loose. I was very loosely defined,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to kind of pick my destiny, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
at a very young age. And that was also heavy for me. I was 21, made Aliyah, living in Israel with $500 in my pocket, enough money for 1 month rent.
Yeah.
And I figured it out, but it was heavy. And over the years, I've realized that the heaviness that's following me is something that I'm not fully embodying. And I recognized that it's a part of me. It's not this like other thing that's like, it's not somebody comes in and busts my energy and is like, oh, they're the toxic one and
Mhm.
I have to cast them away. There was something inside of me, my shadow,
Yeah.
that was rising up time and time again, and I had many face to faces with that shadow. Some of them were ugly and some of them were beautiful,
Yeah.
but I learned the most from the ugly interactions.
Mhm.
I'm also an artist. I love to paint.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love to paint contrast. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't.
And sometimes when I don't paint for a while, I just, it's hard to start painting. So I just like stop throwing paint on the canvas. That's my first step.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you haven't been to therapy for a long time, you have your first therapy session, like it's just like verbal diarrhea. It's all coming out.
Yeah.
So like it's the same thing with where was I going with this? Well, the other word I was trying to find before was relative. It's all
Oh,
relative.
yeah, yeah.
And I can cycle that back into that. But yeah, like, I'm a very experiential learner. Very experiential. And I'm a very somatic person.
What do you mean by that?
I'm a kinesthetic. I feel
Okay.
everything from my fingers. From a very young age, I was already giving people massages at age 19 when I was a doula. That was my side thing.
Uh-huh.
I would work with people mainly pregnant, prenatal and postpartum.
Mhm.
I would be doing massage, and I studied many forms of body work. And sometimes they'd be like, how do I know I want to work with you as a doula? I'm like, you know what? Just book a massage.
Okay.
We'll see how that is. Yeah. And I've always felt energy, and I've always felt like the body and the misalignments, even when I don't touch somebody, if I feel their energy, I can feel where it's misaligned, and maybe a little touch here can help, or even just a conversation. There's different methods that can help with aligning.
Being that you are so perceptive to other people's alignment,
Yeah.
have you found it the same with yourself? Like, is it just as easy to find where you're unaligned within yourself?
Oh, they're a very good question, because a lot of the times we project our misalignment onto the
Yeah.
universe, and then what comes to our energy field is other people that are misaligned.
In the
You
same
could end
way?
up in a toxic mess if you're just in it. Generally a sign for me that I'm like aligned is when I am around a lot of alignment. And I'm like,
Okay.
it's kind of like, it isn't out, it's like a retro projection or whatever you
Like a
want.
boomerang.
Introspection.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh, this is kind of like a signal
Yeah.
that I'm in I'm in a healthy space. Because I used to be, when I was in my 20s, I used to fluctuate. Maybe it would be depending on my hormones, time of the month, my the circumstances, my environment always affected me. If I was living in a healthy environment, or if I'm living with people that are, people would affect me a lot. And now I'm learning how to channel that energy so that I'm not affected so much by my environment, by people. However, I do love to have a beautiful environment. I'm working towards having that. But to be in a space where none of that really permeates me so deeply, and to still be permeable, to still feel, you know what I mean? Not to be blocked. It's not about blocking out toxicity. Remember, we're dancing with the shadow here.
Mm-hmm. How do you do that? Because I know like, if something is heavy, like I'll walk somewhere and I'm just like, even I'll be on the phone with people and they'll be like, I remember like last week or the week before, my friend called me stressed out, and I was like, okay, now I feel like all of this, and I'm just like,
you need to dispel that. So at that point, there's a few steps. At that point, you want to ground. And
literally, like take off my shoes and.
Well, that's one way to do it. You can walk in the grass. Okay. But what I mean by ground, there's many forms of grounding. Just like a deep, foundational breathing could do that for you.
Okay.
Bring into your awareness that you are not this person. They're monkeys, they're circus. They're venting it to you. And if you recognize that and you realize, hey, this person is doing that like way too often. Right. I don't have the emotional capacity for that all the time. There's ways to also like preempt that won't be your natural, interaction with people so much. I mean, if you're a healer, or if you're somebody in the field of energy and you're helping people, there's certain people that can activate that response in you, that you become like a full empath and you like fully align with their vibration, and that's not really your role. Even if it's a good friend.
Yeah.
A good friend is venting to you. They don't want to pull you down.
Right.
So like, how do we stay contained and content and grounded, even when someone's circus is like in your backyard, or in your front yard? Energetically, even if you're on the phone, but it feels like they're in your chest. Now you're feeling hyperventilating. So we need to get grounded. We need to take it deep. Let's do a foundational breath right now.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so that's a good thing you did first. Unhook your legs because we want to keep the energy aligned.
Okay.
Before I even begin, I have to do my breath.
Do you say like a prayer before you start, or is it just like something like when you breathe, like that's all you need to be centered?
Yeah, so like when it's like a real breathwork session, there's an intention.
Ah,
You definitely want an intention behind that.
okay.
And then breathing is your prayer,
Okay. Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the exercise.
Yeah.
That's the swaying with God.
Okay.
So the foundational breathing, I'll just describe it to you before we actually engage with it, is that here, cameraman, you could do it with us too. Eli, sorry. Eli, right? Yeah. So let's get grounded. Let's bring our feet to the ground. So what we're gonna do is visualize your belly inflating first. I'm just gonna describe to you and then we'll do it. Visualize your belly expanding when you take that inhale. Then visualize your chest expanding, so your ribs softening and opening. And then that breath follows up into your crown and your crown is expanding. And then what we're going to do is release opposite direction. So we're going to release our crown. So it's not that the crown is now going to contract. It's going to stay expanded.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in a release mode. And then we're going to come into our chest and we're going to release our chest. Then we're going to come into our belly and release in our belly. And then we're going to cycle through that again. 1 or 2 or 3 times could really set you up for success. If you're in a hyperventilated state, or you're in anxiety, or you're facing a lion, or if you're, I don't know, someone's really annoying you and you just need to get back into your essence and your zone, this is like the mastery. This right here. So let's try that together. Inhale, belly, chest, crown. Exhale, crown, chest, belly, and feel your feet in the ground, connected to earth, releasing all that energy down into the earth. And let's do another one. Inhale, belly, chest, crown. Exhale, crown, chest, belly. And just feel that relaxation coming into your mind. Try one more together. Inhale, belly, chest, crown, so that oxygen is moving upward. And now exhale, crown, chest, belly.
It's like, I don't know, I'm a little sensitive, but I felt it radiating, you feel it. It's like
you're expanding the cerebral spinal fluid in your whole system. So you might feel more active or you might feel more rested. It depends on what you ate, what your situation is, where your blood level, where your alkali, if you're alkalized or you're acidic, all that stuff makes a difference. But in general, it's a calming breath. Yeah,
it's to like center you.
Yes,
like you don't have to. We get so confused. Like the sensations that we feel in our body, feel like they're like exploding outside of us.
Control.
Yeah, and
this is your button of control.
Yeah.
You ever feel out of control? This is your key. Three breaths of these, and then maybe you can see what's the next best step to do.
Function, logic.
Right. You start to feel like you can handle this.
Yeah.
And if you have back to that breath, it's unlimited. You have unlimited free access to this.
Do you also, because I know a lot of people ascribe to like releasing, like screaming.
Yeah.
So what are
my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it's a deep breath work session, so like when you're entering into the trance state, there's 2 phases of this holotropic breath work.
What's holotropic?
What we did when we did breath work together, that was, well, we kind of call it as a breathwork facilitator, we kind of find the right name and method that suits our intention. So mine is rebirth.
Okay.
There's a lot of people out there that do rebirth, but everyone does it a little different. What I like to, for instance, my teacher has called it sonic neural. So sonic for music, because music is the spaceship that takes you out into the cosmos and brings you to that trance state. And neural, I believe, is standing for like the neural pathways. We're redefining the way that we use our brain.
Process.
Right. So the 2 intentions for sonic neural, for what I call rebirth, breath work, Some people call it holotropic because it's, you know, a forced, fast, rapid inhale and exhale for like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Um, before the breath starts breathing you. The main two intentions are, one is to release trauma. So while we're releasing trauma, we actually go, the best thing we could do for ourselves is like be like, for instance, a dog. When a dog is feeling tense, what do they do instantly? They bark and they shake.
Okay.
So like when we feel like that trauma rising in our body, it will only come up because it's a memory that's ready to be released. While we're in the holotropic breath, while we're doing that cyclical breathing, memories will come to the surface that want to be released. And a memory that's too hard to be released won't necessarily come up. It's kind of organized that way.
Yeah.
So it might be a heavy memory that you repressed for many years. It's coming up, and in order to release it, you need to scream it out. You need to push it out. You need to shake it out because it's cathartic.
Yeah.
That's what we need to. Sometimes people are just crying and crying and crying, and it's release. You know, they've measured tears. They've done scientists. They've taken the tears apart, and they've seen how much cortisol is in tears.
Really?
They cry. We're releasing cortisol. Everyone feels good after they cry, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless they're stuck in a loop, but it's cathartic. So it's not uncommon for people to not act like that their first time, because sometimes it's the first time you're in that state of breath. You're just almost like a witness, and you're kind of like saying, is this safe for me to like express
Being
fully?
introduced to it.
Right, exactly. You're just like getting initiated. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to fully release and let go and realize that you're in a safe space to do that. And it's a little difficult sometimes in a group because there's a lot of people, a lot of energy, and it's like I could feel this energy releasing, and so we really want to go past the egoic mind. And that's my role as the practitioner, to kind of guide you into that space. So I do one-on-ones for people that primarily feel like they only feel safe in that container of the one-on-one. I also do couples. I work with couples.
How's that?
Amazing.
Wow, I bet.
They're actually both blindfolded, so they're not witnessing each other go through it, but they're feeling and sensing each other. And then we reintegrate together. So it's almost like a couples therapy in a way, because they each have their own release of their own baggage and trauma. And then when we reintegrate, it's like, okay, so the second intention for this breath work, for the rebirthing breath work, is finding the healer within. So I never want people to call me guru, or call me their healer, or call me like the person that does everything. You know, I'm just a presence of guide. I'm helping guide you back to yourself, where you actually are a healer. First, we're going to guide you. If you never thought of yourself as a healer, first we're going to reintroduce you to your core, to your highest self, and maybe you could be a healer for others, or maybe not, but you're definitely a healer for yourself.
Yeah.
So it's connecting you to the healer within, and showing you that as the more you release that trauma and that whatever, even just stagnant energy, the more you shake that out and release, the more spaciousness there is in your system, and the more connection you can make to your deepest intuition, deepest self, highest self. And in that space, you're healing and rewiring your whole system.
So I know that you mentioned when you'll do like a group session, you need to feel what the intention is. So how do you work through that? Like, what are you sensing from people? Like, what are you connecting within yourself that is like, okay, let's go there. And if you are feeling that, does that mean that that's something within you that you still need to heal? Or is it like, I feel the pain because I understand it and I've healed through that, so now I know how to lead you to that same place?
Interesting. So that's like a 2-part question.
Yeah.
But my
Sorry.
first response to that, my intuitive response to that is, when I would do body work with people, and they would come to me, and I studied many modalities of body work, from craniosacral therapy to Feldenkrais. Anyone that knew me in New York knows me as a Feldenkrais practitioner and a doula. But reflexology was like one of my beginning. I began with reflexology, and then I moved around. I kind of just wanted to find different ways to participate in the healing of the body. And with each person, like, you know how like you can go to a massage therapist and you could expect the same thing every time? And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's like, no, I need something a little different today. There's something else going on.
Yeah.
So, in my experience with people, I would tell them off the bat, like, what is your massage? Like, well, it depends how you present. Let's see how your body is presenting and what your body is. I communicate with your body and you're one, but I feel what your body needs in that moment. And we work with that. And the modality that I'm working with is kind of like tailor made to you in that experience. It could be the next time I see you, it's a completely different session.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, you might be like, I loved what you did last week. Can we do the same thing this week? And we can, but at the same time, different things are always going to present. You're a living organism. So with a group, I see that as like one body in a way, and it's one organism. Just like I described my family, like I was born into an organism.
When I remembered when I think it was probably after your breath work. I've done a couple other breath works also, but I've noticed that the breathing has been better because you specifically go all the way down to the belly, which is the whole to sing, like really to sing.
Engage that whole space.
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah. So how's your singing then?
Lately?
Yeah.
We're getting back there. It's been a struggle. It has been. I think that this is like a segue to getting there again.
For sure. I mean, look, you have a mic right in front of you.
I know.
Yeah.
It's very different. Like as you said though, it's like if someone's like singing, it's like a
essence.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why in halakha women are able to witness and listen to men sing, but men are not halakhically allowed to hear women sing? And part of that reason is because a woman is revealing her like deepest essence, and it's a modesty thing. Like, can a woman is like a lot of women kind of rivaled against that. They're like, what do you mean? Like our voices are not being heard. Like, I feel like, they kind of feel like the patriarchy, like they get into that whole vibe. But when you realize like the larynx and the womb, if you look at an imagery of that, they're directly connected.
Huh.
And they even look alike.
Interesting.
The larynx and the canal.
Yeah.
The vaginal canal. So like they have a very similar makeup, just muscularly and lengthwise and like everything in that way. So when we're singing, as a woman is singing, her womb is expanding and opening into the world, and she's revealing a part of her essence that's it's a very deep level.
Yeah.
And it's like, not that men can't handle that, but it's not like it might open a man up to her in a sexual way when it's not what she's about. She's not looking for that attention. And, men will admit it themselves. When they hear a woman singing, they start to sexualize her, or they start to feel that intimate connection. And women, not that we're more innocent because, whatever. But like, I think when a man sings, it's not that same root energy. It's different. It is there. There is a masculine, embodiment there, but it's not the same as a woman. Yeah,
that's true.
That's my own perception.
No, yeah. I mean, we are, we are the receivers who
expand.
Yeah. And make, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's something that, it's like the most pure form of light.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that men would be like overtaken.
That,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So we're just trying to protect that energies. Keep it
sacred. Have it not go places.
Well, a lot of women these days are releasing their music on live platforms, and some of them write, only women should be listening to my songs, but they can't control who's listening.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, it's not a halakha thing. It's more like women need to get out there, and this is how they're doing it. So no judgment. Just like, be you and shine as brightly as you can,
Yeah. We can't control everybody else anyway. It's not our job.
No, it's not.
So.
Not.
Yeah.
So we touched on that, I guess. But singing and breath have a lot
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. In your experience, in the middle of a breathwork session, how do you how do you determine that the direction needs to either stay
Yeah.
or go somewhere else? And then
So it's
how do
an
you guide
energy.
that?
It's an energy that I'm familiar with because
Okay.
when I work with bodies, you think of the body as one organism, but there's so many components to it. So when you consider the room energy as one, and then like, okay, there's a lot of energy rising, like for instance, in the rebirth, there was a lot of opening windows and saging and clearing. We moved a lot of energy out, and then like people started to feel deeper. And then we set the tone for that. And then there's a way to like, we're not managing labor, birth,
Yeah.
we're not putting drugs in the system. We're not like trying to make it a management situation. We're just trying to support and to
Okay.
guide and to help people feel safe enough to be returning to themselves in a deeper way and not feel shame or scared or, if somebody's getting really, the feathers are getting really ruffled, we come and we place a hand on them and we just help them ground in themselves. And, we had to do that a number of times. I'm really grateful. I had my co-pilot there who happens
Yeah.
to be a doula.
Oh, really? Awesome.
And she was also recently a preschool teacher. And last minute, she's like, I can come and support. I'm like, great. And I couldn't really visualize, or we didn't really prepare so much beforehand, but we synchronized so well together. And in my mind's eye, like I was also a preschool. I actually ran a preschool in Israel when I made Aliyah. I opened a preschool.
It's cool.
For a few years with one of my best friends. And there was an energy at one point of like, okay, there's a bunch of inner children here that are crying on their mats. And it was like, we looked at each other as like done and not, as preschool teachers, like, oh my gosh, like we have to settle all these kids now that are crying. Not in like an intense way, but like if we had this like reckoning, like this is where we're at. And then at a certain point it moved to like many women laboring together and birthing together. And it was beautiful, but we're both doulas. We can handle this, like this is birth energy.
Yeah.
And again, we looked at each other and it's like, you got that side of the room, I got this side of the room. We got this. And it was one big birth. And there was many babies born that night.
Yeah.
Many women came into themselves in a new way.
Yeah.
And, part of me was like, I gotta, shift my doula business because I got 3 little kids. I have to work on a schedule. I can't be running in the middle of the night all the time to birth. That's partly why, breathwork came to me from a very deep place. It was also aligned and perfect timing. I didn't like, look, what should be my next thing? It kind of arrived at the best time. But as it kind of made sense to me, I was like, oh, well, it kind of works better because I can schedule it. I'm like, I could do my sessions when it works for me and my family, and I don't have to be called out in the middle of the night. And a part of me was like, am I moving away from birth energy? Is birth energy what's too hard for me? And I realized, no, it was like I was born to be in the birth space. And it just felt so aligned and true to me in that moment. Just like I felt that feeling at my first birth. I felt that at that breath work where 18 women were giving birth to themselves at the same time. It was like, oh, like I was born for this, like in a very sensual way, in a very deep centering way where I felt like I was like, maybe in a past life, I was definitely a midwife or in the birth space.
You've done this before.
Yeah. So it just felt familiar and it felt comfortable was the word.
Yeah.
And safe. Yeah.
You remembered who you were.
Yeah. So remembering the breath that remembers who you are.
Yeah. So in your experience, how has your breath lent to your relationship with Hashem?
That's a very good question. Like I said before, breath brought me more trust and more divine, amazing things in my life have been revealed to me. It's almost like when you ask God for a sign and he gives you a sign. I don't really ask anymore. I'm just living the sign.
Just waiting.
I'm like always running into signs. And I thought that was like an Israel thing because when I was living in Israel, everything was synchronized. I'd bump into the right people. Everything was kind of moving at a rapid pace. I was there for 3 months, but people would call me like, hey, can you help me with an apartment? Can you help me with a job? Can you set me up with this? Like I was like the person connecting people because somehow I got really connected. And I always used to, when I moved to New York and I didn't feel that same quality, I felt something, but not that. I always attributed it to Israel. And a lot of people do. A lot of people in Israel feel extra connected and it's an air there. But then I realized that I can activate that. Now that I know what that feeling is, when I get back into that zone and I activate that, I feel Hashem's presence here. And I feel it in the same divine way. If anything, it's more grounded. It's more like, I feel more embodied and more, I can handle it bit by bit. It's not like a huge, overwhelming experience like it could have been, was when I was in my 20s. So like to stimulate that, wherever you are, realizing that it's an alchemy of who you are. It's not just on the environment and the place.
Yeah.
But obviously every time I go to Jerusalem or Israel, I feel like, reactivated. And,
It's like a whew,
there's something in there.
Yeah.
And the ground.
Yeah. It's
You're breathing it. Yeah.
You're like within it. It's like you're in the womb.
Yeah.
You jump into a pool and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's
a full-on sensory experience.
Yeah.
And what's cool about that is anything that's sensory is also energy.
Explain that.
So anything that you feel on your sense, it's like your body's way of like sensing the world.
Okay.
But there's a frequency to it, right?
Okay.
There's a vibration to that feeling. It's very much vibrational, very much a frequency.
Okay. That
activates the senses, that activates even hormone releases can be from a sensory experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we tune into the frequency of Israel, we don't have to be physically there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they've also measured heart energy. Like it can go on for miles and miles. You're thinking about somebody with your love and they feel it on the other side of the world. Energy is unlimited.
Yeah.
The body is limited. So if we think energy stops here, we're very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The surface of our skin is the visual extent of our presence, but there's so much happening in between.
So how do people get disconnected from that? Do you think it is the breath? Because I feel like that's what most people struggle with. It's like the saying that's like, you can't see past your own nose.
Yeah.
You cannot feel past your like encasing, essentially, is what
physically?
our bodies. Yeah. And
but you could feel another person and they're outside of you.
But I think I'm saying like I feel like a lot of people feel like the extent which they reach is this, right? Within this. But
there's so much more.
Yeah. How is that connection happening? Is it breath or why do we even?
So I'll end with this because I do have to go to my breathwork session soon. This is actually one of the most poignant questions that I want to answer tonight.
Okay.
Because it really is influenced me in every way that I am. So one of my greatest teachers in Feldenkrais, his name was Rob Cohen.
Okay.
He would always tell me, like, Chevy, like, everything you need to know about the world and the universe begins here and ends here. Meaning all the information is inside of you. So when you mentioned before, I want to just kind of juxtapose this idea.
Okay. When
you mentioned before, most people are kind of trapped and it's kind of like a negative thing that they only think their world ends here. For me, when I was living in my body in my early 20s, my whole world was a projection. I was feeling everything on the outside and barely anything on the inside. I was feeling on the inside, but I wasn't in touch with my extent of myself.
Gotcha.
Everything was one.
Yeah.
That's when I was telling you I was very affected by people and energy and environments because there was no boundary between me and the world outside of me. It was all ethereal. It was all permeable.
So maybe that's what people are experiencing.
Maybe. But like, I think it's a level of healing when you become empathic like that. It's just not the end goal. Mm-hmm. It's part of the process. So some people just shut down. All they feel is like their own emotions. They're not connected to anyone else. And, maybe that's the kind of people you're describing that are just like in themselves. But then there's a level of awakening where you can actually become empathic to another. But sometimes, the volume could be turned too high and you're hearing more of their frequency than yours. Mm-hmm. And that was my life for a lot of my years. And then my teacher taught me about like tuning into my own frequency and finding that measurement and finding where I begin and end. Mm-hmm. And the more that I come inside of myself and like find myself embodied in myself, and this is Feldenkrais for you and on one foot, it's like the more you feel in your own alignment, you could see better in the world. You're seeing a little differently, actually.
Yeah.
It's almost more expansive.
Mhm.
So part of me was like grasping the energy. I wanted to know everything about the world. I was just like, the world was my oyster. I was
Mhm.
eating it up. And it was like this very sensory experience, but I was missing kind of like the point.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And like I was trying to maybe get to nirvana by consuming it all.
Yeah.
And really, I realized nirvana is within.
Like most people, they're trying to get to the end of the race,
Right.
and it's like,
What's there? Just anxiety.
right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Rage or
Yeah.
pain of
But it's
some
not the
sort.
end
Yeah.
because life and healing is not linear.
Mm-hmm.
It's cyclical. So when we realize it's a circle, when we heal, we return to the same pathways that we're traumatized or hurt with a new level of healing. So it's not like the trauma really goes away. It just starts to transform into a little teacher.
Mhm.
And more you thank your trauma. More and more you have gratitude. And you realize these were my teachers
Yeah.
and the guiding lights.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Want to end with our speed round of questions. So these
Okay.
are just like fun. First thing that pops into
Oh,
your
gosh.
mind.
Okay.
What's your favorite type of challah?
Sourdough.
If your Jewish identity were a fabric, what would it feel like?
Linen.
I like it. Mezuzah check. Kiss it, ignore it, or talk to it.
Sometimes I kiss, but not always. Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to always kiss. That was something I had as like an OCD child.
yeah.
My parents actually took me to therapy for that. They're like, she's kissing every message. And like I was like, wasn't that what I was supposed to do?
Wasn't I
that the
supposed?
assignment? I was like, wasn't that the assignment? So then I learned like
I'm not getting
even-
an A plus.
right. So I think that's where I'm like, okay, I don't kiss every message anymore. I just
You breathe with it. You feel it.
yeah,
Mhm.
I acknowledge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If your Jewishness had a soundtrack, what would the first song be?
Lady Robin, Hey Love.
Okay.
I don't know why that song just came into my consciousness. It's a good song. I should listen to it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to check
Yeah.
it out. Last but not least, in one word, what makes you beautiful?
My Jewishness. The fact that, all the way up to Adam, to Abraham, to Moses, there's a line of connection there, and I feel really rooted in my tribe. That might be my source of light.
Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
the
This is so
time and
fun.
space and sharing to
Yeah.
open up the year and
Yeah.
everything. We'll see you all next time.